What's up, guys? Getting back tonight. Bit of a late night video. I was hanging out with some family today. Had a great time, fantastic time. We went out, we hung out, ate some good food, played some cool games, and it was just really awesome time. There's something about, and this is truth, guys, whenever you're able to get around people that you grew up with, that you have a long relationship with from the time you were very young, whenever you can get around them, the brain just releases dopamine and you feel very happy. It feels great to be around people that you grew up with. So whenever you can, that's another reason I would like to have wealth, is to be able to bring more of that into my life, to bring friends. I grew up in Florida and I have friends that are in Florida, and I live in Ohio now, but to be able to fly friends up just to visit, to sit, imagine sitting down, having coffee, talking about each other's lives, doing something like this, but just face to face, having a cup of coffee, talking about good books, sharing great things. It would be so awesome. I'll fly down there, but to have the means to do that. So whenever possible, try to get with people you grew up with and see how much the brain likes that, how it makes you feel. The dopamine dump you get is phenomenal. So today we're on number 22, 25 cognitive biases, the standard thinking errors, the logical fallacies, the misweighing, misjudgments, the failed ways of thinking that the human brain has. And we're learning these, we're putting a label on them, and when we incorporate them and when we can look out and say, hey, that's this bias, hey, that's this bias, we can use them, we can keep ourselves from being tricked, and we can use them to be more persuasive, whether that be in our business and sales, when we're talking to people, to just have these 25 equip ourselves, all right, every day. So this is number 22 on the list, and this is the authority bias. And there's a couple ways to look at this. I'm going to start out with an example of when it comes to flying. When you have some of these pilots, when they have the boss pilot, the co-pilot, will many times take everything that the boss pilot says, even if it's failed or flawed, and oftentimes he'll forget to take control himself, even if what the boss pilot is saying is going to put them in immediate danger. So in their simulations, they're often taught to question what your boss pilot is doing, even though you're supposed to follow his orders, but also learn to make your own decisions. Learn to keep, a finger on in the mind on all the buttons and on everything that's going on, so that you can make and correct these failed decisions by the boss. Because the authority bias, when there's an authority figure, we have a tendency to rely too much on that authority figure. And when there's someone around us that's of immense value, immense authority, we have a tendency to do things stupidly just to impress them. So that's the two ways: relying too much on what a boss figure, on just following blindly, okay? Following our bosses blindly. That's one of the main parts of this authority bias. The second is whenever there's authority figure, trying to impress him, but kind of messing up what we know to be the most important thing, just to impress him. Warren Buffett, when he's flying on his jets, he says he keeps quiet as a mouse because he knows this dude's a billionaire, one of the richest guys in the world. He doesn't want his pilots getting overly confident. Oh, I'm trying to impress him, and then they make some terrible mistake and they're all dead. So he's quiet as a mouse. So another way to look at this is when we can almost use this authority figure for our own gain, because it's how do you say it? The authority figure is gains respect just by the name. The CEO of a company, when I mention him, immediately the eyes, you get, they perk up. Oh, who? He's here? He's here? The CEO's here? Oh, put on your shirt. Oh, fix your hair. Do this, do that. So, an authority figure. And this is a cool little example I had the other day at work. I was called upstairs for a meeting, and it was by one of my bosses. And when I came back down, this is one of the head bosses, one of the top managers. When I came back downstairs, I was asked by a lady. She said, "Where were you? Where were you, Elijah?" And I said, "Oh, Chris called me upstairs for a meeting, and he said it was very important." And she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she carried on. She didn't question me anymore. And after that encounter, I realized what I had done there. Very simple, guys. This isn't that crazy, but just to label them, just to know. I had used 3 cognitive biases, okay? I used the authority bias by giving the manager's name, Chris, the manager, her manager too. So authority bias. I used the reason respect bias. He needed me upstairs for a meeting. And third, I used the urgency bias. It was very important. It was very urgent. So Chris needed me upstairs for a meeting. He said it was very important. All 3, authority, reason, respect, and urgency bias. So whenever you can provide at least 3, all it takes is 3, and people are likely to just be way more open to being persuaded and to take a step back, or to confuse people, or for ourselves to be confused or be tricked. So just by knowing these things, my mind was like, oh, shit, I just used all 3 of those. How easy was that? So back to the authority bias. We don't want to follow blindly when there's a leader around, because the human tendency, we've had leaders for years in tribes. We always follow the leader. We try to impress the leader. We do what the leader says, but we need to be careful when it comes to trying to impress the wrong guy, or taking the wrong guy's advice just because he has some value, because he's seen as the pack leader. And also when it comes to using leaders on our side to give ourselves more value, because someone of value, when we mention them, when we associate with them, can give us more value. So this is number 22 on the list, the authority bias. Tomorrow, number 21. Stay tuned, and I will see you guys soon. Please subscribe. Have a great night.